Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bridging the Gap. Make sure to leave a like on this video down below and subscribe. My name is Alvin. I lean right on most issues, and I'll be representing the Republican side.
My name is Luke. I lean left on most issues, and I'll be representing the Democratic side. Hey guys, in this video, Alvin and I will be giving you our bipartisan Senate predictions for the upcoming Senate elections in November. Yeah.
Yeah, so we filled out all the safe states, the states where one candidate of a party or another will win the state by 10 points or more. But there are a few more that we want to discuss really quickly, mainly because there's either a rating change or we're just putting it there and we feel it's important. Let's start with the state of Virginia here, where Tim Kaine is going to be winning this state by over 10 points, it seems like right now. The early voting data does look good for Republicans in Virginia, and I think Trump's going to win, not win. Trump's going to get it within 10 points on the presidential level. But Tim Kaine is a known quantity in Virginia. The state has been shifting to the right. He is the incumbent senator, and he's going to win it by over 10. Do
Yes,
you want
yeah,
to talk?
I
Want to talk about
absolutely
New
agree. Yeah.
Mexico? Yeah, New Mexico,
Yep.
real quick.
Also, our next one, yeah, New Mexico. Another incumbent Democratic Senator, Martin Heinrich. Um, yeah, similar story. Similarly to Tim Kaine, the polling's looking good for Heinrich. He's an incumbent, so he's likely going to overperform Harris in the state. He's obviously more well known in the state, having represented it for 6 years already, potentially even more than that. So yeah, that's going to be safe also.
Yeah, a known quantity, though, might be going down in the state of Maryland. The governor, former governor Larry Hogan, the Republican governor there, is likely to go down against Angela Also Brooks, the Democrat nominee there, who has been running very strong. In the beginning, it seemed that Hogan might have some sort of outside shot at victory in the state. And, it was looking interesting at the beginning when Also Brooks wasn't exactly known, but she has considerably narrowed the gap. And while she isn't really winning by over 10 in the polling averages, I think eventually people are going to vote D down ballot that go and vote for Harris. So Hogan is not going to get within 10 there for now.
Yeah,
Um,
I
and
I
then,
would agree. Yeah,
and
she's
then
been
I
increasing.
guess, why don't you talk about Nebraska now since we're alternating?
Yeah. So Nebraska, we have a bit of an interesting development here. We've had a lot of like close polling recently. So the Democrats actually decided not to run a candidate in Nebraska, and instead, they've basically allowed an independent to run against the Republican. This being a union leader, Dan Osborne, running against the incumbent Republican Deb Fischer. Now, a lot of this polling is really, really, really close, and it looks like Dan Osborne's winning some of this polling here. But I would note a lot of this polling are his own like internal polls. So that's part of the reason why I think it's so close. Um, but another reason I think is also is that Deb Fisher really wasn't campaigning. She really wasn't spending money in the district. So I think the Republicans kind of allowed, um, you know, uh, they've kind of allowed this threat to emerge due to like not really engaging their citizenry. Um, but in the end, though, I think these kind of independent campaigns usually don't end up doing as well as polling suggests. This just kind of reminds me of Evan McMullen running in Utah in 2022, and some of the polling was really close, but he ended up losing by like 10 or 11. So I reckon this will end up around the same place. I think Deb Fisher will end up winning by like 12 or 13, and I heard Republicans are starting to spend here as well, to ensure they keep the seat.
Yeah, they definitely have. I was watching the Rutgers Nebraska football game actually, and they're definitely airing ads now. At least I saw quite a few Deb Fisher ads, so they're definitely starting to go in there. But no, I think this one's actually more interesting. If you look at the Mike Lee Evan McMullen poll, you'll see that McMullen only really led his internals that he released, while every other poll showed Mike Lee pretty comfortably ahead. But in the case of, the Nebraska race this time around, I think actually Dan Osborne at least has a decent shot. I'm gonna be putting this in likely. I mean, I hope you don't mind. I think at
Okay.
least for now we should err on the side of caution. He is leading the aggregates at least, in two of them. So just for now, maybe we'll move it back into safe. But I think he has some sort of shot. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's move into the
All
actual
right.
competitive states now, really quickly. I think first we should definitely go for Florida, right? Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Florida is a fair one to start. Yeah, you want to speak on Florida?
Yeah. Rick Scott in Florida, he's historically been a decent candidate for Republicans in Florida, obviously having survived the 2018 blue wave, and he is going against a decent candidate in BMP on the Democrat side. But it's going to be an interesting state because of how much it has swung to the right in the recent years. Of course, you have the 2022 red wave. You see the voter registration data where Republicans have netted 1 million plus voters now in the state.
Hmm.
Uh, the state's been is now getting hit by an extremely powerful hurricane and Hurricane Milton. So we'll see how that upends the race. But a lot of indicators show Florida moving really swiftly to the right. And I think I'm going to be putting this in likely Republican. I know there's quite a few arguments to put this in lean, but I honestly think that Florida has gone so far to the right that Rick Scott's going to be winning this by over five.
Yeah, I would agree. I do think that Rick Scott and Donald Trump are gonna run about the same in Florida. I do think DMP, the person Democrats are running, is a pretty strong candidate. A Latina former representative. I do think that could help slow the bleeding with some Hispanic voters in Florida. But yes, I don't really think it'll be enough. To win. And I definitely would agree that Rick Scott's going to win this by above 5 points.
All right, let's move over to the state of Texas, which I know you like this race, so why don't you talk about it? I'll defer to you here.
Okay. Texas, I would say, is probably the best opportunity for Democrats to flip a seat on Republicans. Um, and again, I say this all the time in almost all of our videos when we mention Texas, but yeah, Texas has been a state that has generally been moving left in terms of trends, driven mainly by their rapidly expanding suburbs. And I actually do think that'll work in favor of Colin Allred, at least ensuring this race is going to be pretty close. Um, so yeah, it's incumbent Ted Cruz, who isn't exactly extremely popular in Texas, and has a lot of his own scandals and missteps. I actually believe Ted Cruz is going to do worse than Trump in the state. And I think it's also reflected in the polling. Colin Allred has been increasing his polling margins and now seems to be outperforming Kamala more and more in the polls. So, given this, I actually happen to believe this race is going to end up around um, +3 in favor of Ted Cruz. There's a reality where Colin Allred flips this, but yeah, I think it is definitely more likely that Ted Cruz wins. He's definitely the favorite. I put it lean R. Yep.
I agree. We're going to be moving this to Leanar. I don't have much to add, honestly. I think you hit on every single point. Maybe what I would add is that I think Democrats might be better off trying to attack Texas now more than holding on to some of their other states because, as we'll later see, I think, some states are starting to spiral out of their reach. That's going to be
Yeah.
their best shot at taking at holding the Senate, honestly, at this point. But anyways, we'll be moving on to some better news for Democrats now. I think we should actually move to Arizona now. Do you object? Because I think I
Yeah.
honestly think Arizona might be the move here. Arizona,
Hmm.
we've been looking at it for a while. We thought Kerry Lake might eventually improve, but no, Ruben Gallego has been absolutely dominating this race in the polls. I think right now we both agree that Trump is slightly favored in Arizona. It's been looking at
Hmm.
it, but absolutely not on the Senate level. You'll be seeing this a lot in the future as we go across the swing Senate races. But Democrats in the Senate nominations are absolutely smashing it in comparison to Kamala Harris on the presidential level. And what has looks like a really bad map for Democrats, where Republicans are already at 50, is going to be somewhat salvaged. Where I think Gallego's going to win this by 5 to 10 points. I don't think he's going to get to 10 just because of how there is a presidential race at the top
Yeah.
of the ticket, and Trump's going to move, his low propensity voters out to the polls. They're going to eventually vote for Kerry Lake, and Kerry Lake's likely going to outperform this average just by a little, just because of how presidential races are going to move the Senate race a little in her favor. But Gallego is going to win by over five at this point.
Yeah, I think Carrie Lake is doing absolutely horrible. Like I heard she has less money than Larry Hogan does in Maryland. The fact that she hasn't been really getting funding is very, very bad for her. And it does seem like Gallego is like utterly destroying her in the polling. Yeah, it would definitely would not be surprising to see him to win by above 5 points. Next, I actually think we should go to Nevada.
Agreed.
Uh,
Agreed.
yeah. Should I speak on this or
Yeah,
do you
yeah,
want
because
to
we're
take it?
we're alternating, so just go
Okay.
on. Yeah.
Okay. So here you have an incumbent Democratic Senator, Jackie Rosen. Similar situation, um, in the fact that Jackie Rosen is overperforming Kamala Harris by a lot of points. She's like in the polling averages, she's up like 8 to 10, while Kamala is like it's about even, maybe Kamala +1 in the presidential level. Yeah. While a lot of other like Senate candidates or Senate challengers, I should say, across the nation have been, increasing as their name recognition, as they become more well known in their states, as their name recognition has improved. That we haven't really been seeing that with Sam Brown. He's increased a little, but his polling has remained about the same, and as a result, he's getting utterly smashed in the polling. And something I'd note, I noted how the fundraising was bad for Republicans in Arizona. It's even worse in Nevada. So he is like, it seems to be like it seems like he's been completely left out to dry in terms of money. And yeah, I actually despite Nevada like slightly moving right nationally, and like we've seen this trend of Republicans starting to take more wins statewide, does not seem to be the case with this race at all. I would actually say likely D here as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know. Like Nevada and Arizona are going to be interesting because if Trump does take these two states, it's possible he drags the both candidates over to like under a 5 point victory for the Democrat,
Hmm.
right? Just because vote splitting isn't that prevalent in either state. I mean, Arizona a little more, but not to that degree. We're going to see how it goes, but I don't know. I think I'm feeling Montana right now. I don't know. What do you think? I kind of
I think maybe we should go through the Rust Belt states, and then we should end with the
okay.
two the two
Okay.
Republican Dem held seats. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
I do think Montana is actually going to be less close than the Rust Belt at this point, but we
Yeah,
can keep it
uh,
we can keep it contentious for now. We could keep it contentious.
yeah. Let's
You
just
know,
let's keep going
we'll
through. Let's
move
keep
on.
going through.
We'll
Yeah.
move on. I think maybe we can go to Michigan. I mean, I don't know.
Michigan or PA?
Yeah, Michigan or PA, sort of on the same level at this point. I wouldn't really know which one's to the left of the
Hmm.
other. But Michigan, Lisa Slotkin's been doing very well. She was a very top tier recruit to pick up the seat from the former Democrat leaving the seat, abdicating the seat for her. And I think she's doing very well. She's going to outrun Kamala Harris. And, there was some interesting polls. Like, you have this Quinnipiac poll today that dropped, showing them tied and showing Trump up by four or something in this, right? Trump
Hmm.
up four, Trump up five. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
the state, which
Four.
was very interesting. And honestly, a lot of polls recently have been showing Michigan to the right of Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, which I don't really buy.
Yeah, me neither. But
I happen to think that it's got to be some other polling error in the Midwest yet again. We're going to be seeing it one way or another, but Elisa Slotkin is going to be winning the state by a healthy margin. Now, I honestly think this is still unlikely Democrat. I know that the margins in the polling averages have slipped to under 5 points, but I think she's going to be outperforming Harris by a decent margin. I still think Harris is going to win the state by, probably around 2 points still. And so if Elisa Slotkin is able to outperform her by around three or so, I think she's going to still win by over five.
yep, I do have similar logic here. Um, yeah, like it does seem like Lisa Slotkin is outperforming Kamala Harris, which I find quite surprising because she isn't really like she's not the incumbent senator. The incumbent Debbie Stabenow's retiring. She's coming in from the House of Representatives and is running against another former House rep. So like I mean the fact she's outperforming this well as like a little known representative only known in like her one segment of the state is pretty impressive. But yeah, I think likely D's will keep that here there.
Agreed. I think
Uh,
honestly, yeah, you can talk about Pennsylvania. I forgot. Yeah, go
Yeah,
on.
let's go into Pennsylvania next year. Here we do have an incumbent Democratic senator in Bob Casey Jr. going up against the Republican Dave McCormick. Similar to those other Senate races we mentioned, he has been outrunning Kamala, sometimes by a lot. That Quinnipiac poll that just dropped today, I think it puts him up like 8. And it puts Kamala up 2, so like he's outrunning her by 6. So that's pretty good. Um, I actually, I mean, I do believe that it's possible for McCormick to closen this up a little bit. He's actually one of the most well-funded Republican Senate candidates, but I'm not sure it'll be enough to get it under 5. I'm between like 4 and 5 here, honestly, or 6. I would still say that this is a likely D Senate race, just because the nature of Bob Casey's been doing really well in his races. In 2018 he won by double digits. So I'm still inclined to say it's going to be a likely D race. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, actually. I don't know. I think if we start seeing better polling on the presidential level, I don't know. Maybe in our last prediction, we're going to move this over to lean just because if we start to
Yeah.
favor Trump significantly in Pennsylvania, right now, last prediction, we had Trump basically at a toss-up with Harris in Pennsylvania. We really only moved it into Republican off the betting odds, right? And so if we do start favoring Trump clearly as a tilt R race, maybe we'll move this back into lean. But right now, I agree with you. We're going to put it in likely and just call it a day there. And I guess we'll go to Wisconsin right
Hmm.
now to keep it more contentious before we go to Montana. But honestly, you saw Cook Political. They moved Wisconsin from a lean D race to a complete toss up now. But I don't agree. I think that Tammy Baldwin still, she's the incumbent, and while Hovde is probably one of the best Republican recruits uh, in the nation. He's a solid Republican, no really big scandals on his part. Uh, you know, I still happen to think that Baldwin is going to win by a lean margin. I don't know what we put in our last prediction. Maybe we had it in likely, but I think Trump has a decent shot of winning Wisconsin while not favored right now. I don't think the vote split's going to be around 5 points or more in the Senate race when Hovde isn't exactly a horrible candidate, and Baldwin isn't a stellar one. So, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I'm in like a similar space with Pennsylvania. I would say I am less certain in Tammy Baldwin's chances compared to Bob Casey's before, but
Right, exactly.
she's doing great with ticket splitting. Like again, like she's outrunning Kamala by like 4 and sometimes like 4, 5, 6 in some of these polls. Yeah, like I mean she's definitely favored. Um yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of between lean and likely as well. Because again, I think right now, like if you put me on the spot right now, I'd probably say likely. But I do believe that over time, as Hubdy gains more name recognition, I'm sure both sides are going to be streaming out ads, rapid fire. Um, maybe he can close it a bit more because Hubdy's like really not known like in Wisconsin or wasn't known before this election cycle. And I imagine, with time, as time goes on, we saw his polling margin increase. I imagine that trend will still slightly occur. So yeah, I'm fine with either, whatever you want to put.
Yeah, because I'm going to put it lean here because of 3 reasons, actually. I'm going to quickly spit out. One, Baldwin isn't winning the polling averages by over 5. And if we expect Hubby to increase his name rec, he should narrow it within 5. Number two, Trump is going to be on the top of the ticket. And while Baldwin is an incumbent, probably, splits a ticket, I don't think it's going to be over 5, maybe 4 points. And third, I just think Hubby is solid enough to do it. I don't know. He's decently funded as well. He's around half the money as Baldwin, but just to keep it safe, right now we're going to be moving this one into lean, but it could move into likely yet again. All right, now let's go to Montana
Okay.
here because
Yeah.
yes, you can go with that, but yeah.
Okay, so like right now we have left the two seats which are currently held by Democrats, but are in states that Trump won. Yeah, we're first going to be going over Montana here. I believe Trump won this state by like 16-ish points. So it's a very red state. Yeah, we have the incumbent Democrat John Tester running against Army veteran Tim Sheehy. Yeah, I'm gonna say the polling looks really bad for Tester here. Sheehy's been doing great in the polling. A lot of the polling is are his internals, but like even in the independent polling too, he's doing he's doing really well. Um, and I happen to actually believe that we might see like this situation is kind of giving me the vibes of those seats in 2018, the blue wave year, like that Democrats held in Republican states. I'm thinking like North Dakota in 2018, Missouri and Indiana. All three had Democratic incumbents, and they kind of got destroyed in the races. I don't know. I feel like the era of red state Democrats, and blue state, similarly to the era of blue state Republicans, is like kind of coming to a close a bit. And I think Tester's going to be losing by more than five here. I think Sheehy's definitely favored.
Yep, and that's why I was going to go to Montana before even hitting the Rust Belt because I agree. I think that he's going to be winning by over five, and that's why, like I said earlier, Democrats' best chance to hold the Senate, I think, right now, run through Texas and not Montana. And honestly, that's a little sad because in the past we probably put Montana in the lead, and we thought, hey, Tester's the incumbent, he has a shot to hold his seat. But no, right now, honestly, I'm feeling pretty bad for him. I don't think he has a real shot. He has a little bit of glimmer of hope, but even that one poll in August, RMG research that put him up five has now moved to put Sheehy up seven a month later. So the door seems to be
Yep.
closing on Tester, and I think you're going to be seeing Senator Sheehy relatively soon. Partisanship is just too high right now for
Hmm.
Tester to hold on. And finally, we'll be hitting the state of Ohio, where incumbent Sherrod Brown honestly, I've been a big Sherrod Brown believer for a very long time. If you go back years in our Senate predictions, when we started the 2024 cycle back in 2023, I always believed in Sherrod Brown. Um, oh, uh, oh, hello. Oh, okay. So yeah, I don't know. Wait, Luke, can you hear me? Hello,
Oh
hello.
yeah. You did cut
Yeah.
out for a bit. My
Okay.
bad.
I cut out. All right.
I don't
No,
know if
no
that's my
problem.
end or yours.
No problem. Yeah, so I mean, it's at the end of the video, so it's fine. But yeah, I've always been a Sherrod Brown believer for years, and honestly, Bernie Moreno probably not the best recruit on the Republican side to take him down. I've always believed in Sherrod Brown for years. He's a strong incumbent. He survived in 2018. Obviously, is a blue wave, and while you know the national environment doesn't look good for Brown, especially in the state of Ohio and Trump being at the top of the ticket. I happen to think he might just survive here. He's winning a lot of these polling that also surveys the presidential race, which means that people are willing to vote split. Ohio showed its a tendency to vote split in 2022 as well. I think we can put this in tilt Democrat. I don't think he's going to win by this much, but he might narrowly hold on.
Yeah. Um,
Hello.
I will say,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about. Like I've seen some polling recently that does show Moreno up. It's not like great high quality polling, but I think it's just a signal that the race is closening. Yeah, I do agree that Brown is definitely favored. The high quality polling favors Brown. And I do think he is I do think he is slightly favored, but I do think I personally would put it in tilt because I do think it's going to closen up even more as Moreno has a lot of money and again as his name rec increases I imagine his margin in the polls will increase and I think they're going to be about even by election day if I had to guess in terms of polling. But so yeah, I think I'd put Brown as like I'd tilt it in favor of Brown.
I don't
I'll
know if
say
my
personally.
internet cut out, but I actually also said tilt, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yep.
think tilt is fair. It's basically the one toss up. I think Republicans likely have a ceiling of 52 seats, maybe 53 if they can knock somewhere off, but likely 52 seats.
Mm,
Democrats probably have a ceiling of 49 unless they can make something work in Texas, which maybe they have around a 15% chance of doing. So, Republicans look absolutely poised to hold the Senate. They just need to hold on to really Texas and, keep their footing in Florida, Montana, Nebraska, and maybe they can even pick up Ohio. Maybe, in a really best case scenario, they could pick up somewhere in the Rust Belt. Or maybe the polling in Nevada is abysmal and they're doing better there than we expect.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's about the state of the Senate elections of 2024. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to leave a like on this video down below. Comment down below how many Senate seats you think both parties are going to get in the 2024 elections. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell for notifications for future videos, and share this video with your family and friends. Thanks for watching.
See you guys.